What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, you are watching TWA Motorsports, and today, well, as you can see, we are starting some work on the Tahoe. So I let you guys know in a video a while back that we were going to be knocking some stuff out on this. Obviously, it has that terrible lifter tick. I'm sick of listening to it. I've got some new parts. I got some new lifters. I got a new water pump. There's going to be several things. So this video is probably going to string out over several because I'm going to try to do some dismantling. There's some other stuff I want to do while I've got it in this spot. One of which is I got a new set of springs for my coilovers. Guys, when I ordered those coilovers originally, he was out of the spring he normally uses. So he subbed it out for a different one, and I just can't dial in the ride that I want. And so he sent me some Viking actual coils because they were out. So we'll be swapping those out for the ones that I had. The other thing I would like to do is, while we're doing all of this, obviously we're going to have to tear really deep into the engine to get the cam out, the lifters out. But while I'm in here, I would like to address the ABS issue, which I don't know if I'll break that up in a separate video. I may get to a point where I get so far into this that I'm waiting, because I'm going to send the heads to my machine shop, make sure that they're good, have them clean them up and whatnot. So in that time period, maybe I'll do those two things. But yeah, cam, upgraded pusher or upgraded springs, new lifters, obviously head gaskets, head bolts. We have a lot to do. So I'm going to get started on it right now. The very first thing we're going to start with, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and unhook the negative on the battery, which should be an 8mm. I'm going to try to set up a hood light, and I'm going to try to set up some spots where you guys can see me actually do this process instead of cutting in and out. So let me go get the 8mm. I'll do that off camera, and then I'll try to set my hood light up and we'll get going. I'm going to guess my hood light's going to go dead too, but we're going to start 8mm here in the center. Let's get that guy out of the way. Woo-wee, it's dusty. So the guy who did all the detailing on this for me obviously cleaned under the hood. As you can tell, it looks 1,000 times better than what it did, but we're going to start there. The next thing I'm going to do is, off camera, I'll take the flathead loose here on the throttle body, the flathead loose here on this little scrunchy piece right after the mass airflow sensor, and we will get that out of the way. So you're aware, there is this guy right here. This holds this upper radiator hose to the air intake itself, but then once we get that loose and these two clamps, should be able to yank this thing out of here, off of the mass airflow sensor and already off of the throttle body. Already dropping tools, guys. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take these 10mm out, but there's also, because this is a non-electric fan model, you have these plugs down here, okay, that hold the bottom radiator shroud and the top of the radiator shroud together. That's another thing I'd like to do, is electric fans while we're doing this whole process. So that may be something that you see. We'll just have to see. I've got a set of electric fans, but I don't have the harness, and I like to use the factory one. So if I can find the factory one I normally use on eBay, I have a guy that randomly sells them. I try to list them when I can, but I think he just randomly scraps these trucks. So if he has them, he has them. If he doesn't list them, and everybody always asks me, like, for his info. Let's go grab the 10mm, take these two uppers out, and then once we release this, I think we can sneak this out of the way. You can just fold this out of the way. There is another clip there, I forgot. But I want to measure our radiator core. And the reason I want to do that is because you have to have a 34-inch radiator core in order to use the stock electric fans. And we do. You can see that. They make a 28, which is generally more in the V6 trucks or the earlier model V8 trucks. So we don't have to worry about that. But I'm going to go ahead and take the belt off. 15mm here. And we'll swing that over, get the belts out of the way. That's probably something I should replace also that I haven't ordered. You can use a wrench or a ratchet. I generally use a wrench. It's not real hard to do. Swing that down, flip the belt off of one or two of the pulleys, let that guy go back, and the belt is off. And then you should be able to get it out. Well, I say that. This is always my luck, it gets stuck on here. We'll get it off there in a minute. I may lift that up and go under it. So, thoughts on the belt? Yeah, we definitely need another one. Trash pile. All right, now they make a tool to take this off. I never use it. Okay, I'm going to use my impact or a chisel on my air hammer, and we basically are going to use it to loosen this screw, because I'm going to put electric fans on it regardless of how I have to do it. We're doing it, so I'm going to go grab my chisel end and my air hammer. I'm going to hammer this, get it started, and then this will just spin off. And I'll save your ears here, but you can see what I've got, my air hammer. And like I said, I'm just going to use it almost like a screwdriver. I'm going to hit on the left side of this, trying to unscrew it, and then this thing will spin right off. And once you get it started, well, you have to hold the pulley, but you can see that it's just threading off. Probably the coolest idea ever. We'll spin this thing off, get it out of the way. You can start to see the threads now. And it's pretty heavy, so you may want two hands on this deal. My hood light's already given up the ghost here. This belt looks just as bad as the other, so I'm going to go ahead and knock it off. I'm going to need two hands. I'm just using a 3/8 drive, and we'll get that belt off. It's all cracked as well, but then this just sets in there. Once the fan's out of the way, we can lift the lower fan shroud out. This next part I'm doing it's not really required, but I like to do it to get the alternator out of the way. It just gives you more room to work, especially on like the coolant tube there that crosses over. Yeah, I like to do it. So should be, oh, that's a 10 millimeter, one plug, and then two 15 millimeters, I believe. Yep. And you may have to use a pry bar to pry this thing out, but believe me, having it out of your way makes this guy right here a lot lighter, because I don't want to unhook any of the power steering. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bolts out of this, and we're going to kind of lay it over out of the way. But it makes it a lot lighter, and this hinders some of the stuff we're doing here. Like I said, once you get that stuff unhooked, sometimes it takes a pry bar on both sides to get this guy loose. Once it's loose, then we can lift it off. We go set it in our pile of parts. Now, if you're not used to doing these, I recommend tagging and bagging. Now, I've done enough of these that just setting the two alternator bolts, those bolts, I know where they're gonna go, okay? So, but if you're not comfortable doing it that way, not a bad idea to grab some plastic baggies, tag and bag all your stuff. But I'm gonna get this fan shroud out of here, and I think we're gonna attempt to try to drain some coolant. We'll let it be draining while we maybe dig into some of this upper stuff. Well, a little bit of bad news. This thing does not have a drain on either side of the radiator, which is pretty common in the newer stuff. You drain them by taking the lower radiator hose loose. The downside is that makes a huge mess. You can see down below I've got an attempt to catch it. Look guys, there's gonna be coolant on the floor here. There's just, as much as I hate it, it's gonna happen. So I'm gonna attempt to get it draining out there. I've kind of got it centered, and then I'm gonna try to poke this tube down into that pan as well. The downside is it's got these clamps that GM decided to use like that. So I generally use a pair of pliers, and it upsets you, believe me, especially the angle this one's at, but I think I can get to it. Pinch those together, roll that back, and then twist your hose back and forth. That hose actually looks like it's in good shape. So a lot of my coolant hoses look good, so I'm gonna keep those. Let's go ahead and make a mess. I did a pretty good job catching most of it. There's still some on the ground. Inevitable, guys. I hate those clamps though. I hate those clamps. Anyway, I was looking up here at the top. I'm gonna go ahead and release the upper radiator hose. That kind of helps drain that a little faster too. So I'm going to open the same clamp up. I'm going to also replace this upper radiator hose. You see that spot where the air intake has rubbed on it? It's probably fine, but just because it's so far down, I think I'm going to go ahead and write that on my list of parts to get. But let's get these two clamps loose, and we'll make sure that we keep all the ones that position it in the air intake or on the top of the radiator here. But let's get these two clamps loose, get this hose out of the way. Let's sped it up a little bit. It's not crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and take the two 15s out that hold the idler on. And the only reason I'm doing this, we're gonna reuse it. Actually, there's three, sorry. Just to get another piece out of the way. If you're reusing your water pump, you don't have to do this, but I'm replacing the water pump. So I just want to make sure that I get your new water pump. Obviously will not come with this. You have to get an extension here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have an extension. I don't think I can get it. I'll go grab an extension. We'll get that third one out and get that out of the way. Once I got that off, I'm gonna grab this coolant crossover tube that has those same two clamps. This is supposed to heat the throttle body up. A lot of people bypass this. I'll probably hook it back up, but believe me, unhook this now, because when you go to pull your intake off, you're gonna thank me, because you're gonna forget that. So just same thing here, probably can use these needle nose that I have setting up here. These have way less pressure on them than the ones on the radiator. I still hate these clamps. I know they make a tool for this, and I actually think I have it over there, but I'd never use it. We can walk them back. There we go. And then what I like to do, once I get a hose clamp loose, I take the pliers and go back and forth. See how that's loose now? Now it'll pull off easy. Next, we're gonna work on the 10 millimeters. I already used a small 10 because I can't get my deep 10 there. You take these guys out. And there's a 10 right here. Needs to come out. This is a stud. We'll get those out of the way. And that's just kind of the thing that holds the back of the cover. Still looking pretty gross. Now I'm going to grab a little flat blade screwdriver and pop open this wire loom right here, and also this one. Let's get these things popped open. The reason I want to do this is we're going to have to lift this up. Actually, that one we don't need to do because it'll come up with this, but this one we will have to have some extra clearance on. And somebody put it on. Thought it was on backwards, it's not. So what will happen is, move this out of the way, we'll have to lift this up later in order to gain some clearance, but there we go. Next, we need to unplug all these plugs up top. This one here is for the knock sensors, which I'll be honest with you, they're fine, and depending on the looks of them, I may or may not replace them. I probably should since I'm in here, but let's see if we can get this clip opened up and off. This is EVAP. I'll have to have two hands. Go ahead and do the throttle body. There goes my clip on the ground. Generally just pops back. And then we're going to open up these looms just like I did that other one for the injector wires. And then the injector itself, these have a lock clip on them. So if you push up on the lock clip like that and then pinch, it should unplug. Yeah, so push the gray lock up, pinch, and you're good. So we'll go ahead and do that on both sides. I won't make you guys watch me struggle getting those all up. Sometimes a pick helps. The other thing is the evap line. If you push to one side, I don't remember if it's left or right. I think it's this way. I think if we push that way and lift. Should unclip, maybe a two-hand operation as well. We got all the injectors unhooked, so I've also got the coil pack unhooked. You can see it right there. That's the big plug with the lock in it. And the reason I did that is we're gonna have to take the coils off, obviously. But before I do that, let's see if we can get this guy threaded out. Now, can you leave this? Yeah, you could. I don't recommend it, but you could. Just remember it goes underneath the intake. I'm gonna clean some of this stuff up off camera. Nice little pile over here. But the next thing I'm gonna take off before I go digging any deeper into the intake is I'm gonna go ahead and get the coil packs off, which means I need to unplug all the spark plug wires. Not a big deal. Well, see that one's on there. And I upgraded the plugs and wires in this when I first got it. But let me turn my light on here. You can see the 10mm studs that hold these things on. And they've never been taken off before, there's probably, yep, there's one back there. A lot of times people get lazy and they won't put that back one in. So my guess is these have never been off. Should be 5 or 6 on each side. I think there's 5, and generally people put 4 in. Once you get these off, I like to keep them side specific. Now it really doesn't matter, but I don't know. It's just part of me that keeps stuff the way it came out. So let's get the other 2 out. We'll lift that out of the way. That'll also give me the ability, see the leaves and stuff in here? I want to vacuum that out before I pop that intake loose. This gives me a little more room to do that. Now the process on this side's the same, but you have a little additional here because of the heater core lines. See the 10mm bolt or nut that goes on the stud that holds the heater core lines out of the way of the exhaust. Let's take that 10 off, this bracket out, and then there'll be 5. And then of course we need to unplug this guy. All right. And all the plug wires. That one was pretty loose. Getting pretty close to being ready to pull the intake off. I'm going to pull this off the valve cover. Goes to the back of the intake here. Just leave it hanging. The next thing is I need to go grab the tool to take. Tell you what, let's grab this. These are just little locks that go in place. Probably gonna flip it into oblivion here, but that's how that comes off. It goes in, hooks, and then snaps on the hose. But there's a specialty tool that goes in here that unlocks your fuel lines. So I need to go grab that. Unlock the fuel lines, but the only one I'm not gonna really be able to show you is the evap. Okay, so this evap line is a real pain in the butt. So you can attempt to straighten it out and then like try to thread the intake off of it, or you could take the fuel rail off separately, which I don't want to do, but there's another one of these push style connections, but it's back close to the firewall. I don't even think I can get my camera back there far enough to show you, and I may end up having to take, I remember this being a real pain on the last one I did. You could take the fuel rail off, which is just these, I think they're 8mm, maybe 10s. But you could take this off, pull the fuel rail out, and then you can kind of fold it over out of the way while you're pulling the intake off, and that may be your best option, maybe my best option, honestly. But I'm going to attempt to get back there, see if I can get it unhooked. But after that, really all we need to do is pull our intake bolts out, which are 10mm. It's really weird, they're 8 on the cars, but they're 10s on the trucks, and there should be 10 of those. And I try to work my way outside in, just the opposite way that you tighten them. I don't think that's necessarily a big deal, but that's just kind of how I do it. You wouldn't believe this if I told you, but I was able to get that stupid thing loose. Look at that. Same connection. I was able to reach back there and do it blind. I couldn't even see it, so I don't know how to show you. This is the tool we need to unload this, and this is a two-hand operation, guys, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna have to push in with it while I'm pulling out on the line. I need to do that on both because this is the older one that has a return and a feed. That's gonna leak. No, I mean, you can mess with it if you want, but it's gonna leak. We're ready. We're ready to get the intake off. I ran the vacuum on both sides here. Oh, that's got a split in it. You see that? Oh no, never mind. It doesn't. I take that back. If you have a mine has a Hydro Boost, okay? If you have a brake booster, standard diaphragm up here, there's gonna be a line that goes to the back of the intake. I don't have to worry about that. You would have to also unhook that, just so you know. But we should be able to get to all 10 of these 10 millimeters. And then when I get to the point, once I get all those out or loose, I'm gonna grab a bungee cord and kind of hold this thing up maybe over that direction so I can have extra room. And this is what I was talking about earlier, and I may actually go ahead and take this loose too, but that's why I took the alternator out of the way. It just gives, because this harness loops over the top of the intake, this makes your life way easier. If you guys don't have one of these wrenches, you need one. This is a game changer. I'm gonna have to have the light back there. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead, get that. I think that's the last one I have, and then we will get this pinned up out of the way. See, I got my bungee cord kind of holding stuff out of the way. We're gonna gradually try to sneak this thing up. Try to put some of this wire over there. It's definitely loose though. Let's see. Yeah, I think we can get it. You can see I forgot one thing, the map sensor. I tried to reach back there and unplug it, but it fell out. Not really sure what the deal is with that. We'll give it a good clean up, but look how nasty this thing is. We're gonna vacuum this out. Look, obviously there's been an animal in here. You can see that back there. I'm also gonna replace the oil pressure sending unit, which you see in the back, and maybe a couple other things, I don't know. Anyway, we're down to the head at least. I'm gonna go ahead and continue on the front side of the motor. So what I've done is I've loosened these clamps. I'm gonna pull the heater core lines off, the overflow line off, which it's still got some in it. So I'm gonna attempt to get it kind of over, once I get it unplugged, to try to put it down to here so it all comes out there, but look, it's gonna be on the floor. But then I'm gonna try to tackle the water pump. That's why I wanna get this stuff loose. A bigger mess. Anyway, let's get the 10 millimeters off that hold this guy in place. There should be 3 on each side. 1, 2, 3, and they're in triangle shape. Just symmetrical on both sides. So I generally start with the hardest one to get to, which is the top one on this side. I leave the middle ones for last. And then just on your last ones, try to hold this upper hose or outlet, or inlet, I guess. That way it's gonna drop antifreeze. Next thing I'm gonna attempt to do is get the 15 millimeters that hold this to the front of the engine loose. I think there's 4 or 5 of them. There's 3 up here. And like I said, I'm just gonna lean this over out of the way because I don't want to unhook the power steering. And honestly, if we were just doing a cam and didn't have to do lifters, we wouldn't even have to do this, but it is what it is. There's another one down here that's completely covered in junk. It's so covered in junk, it seems like it's a different size. All right, let's put the camera down. Got that front piece off, and I didn't even have to bungee it up. It's just staying. I'm gonna have to move it over when we do the cam, but that's good for now. There was a 15 that came in from the side. Kind of hard to reach. I pushed this, I took this loose, the 2 10s on the side, took this loose, pushed it over, and was able to get to the 15. But now let's get the valve covers off. 8 millimeter. Probably gonna take these out to the machine shop also. And the reason for that is he has a nice little tank that he puts stuff in. Comes back looking pretty nice. Holy cow, those are on there. I have to get a pry bar, guys. just get it loose. It's been on there for a couple of years. Holy cow, I've never had one that tight. Yeah. There it goes. There it goes. Oh, it was in dire need of gaskets there. And I know that this thing has not been well cared for. The guy that I bought it from told me, well, he gave me some paperwork of a place before that had cleaned the motor out. Oh my gosh, look at the sludge in there. I don't know, guys. That's bad. That's real bad. No wonder it has all kinds of ticks. Golly, that's rough. Now, a couple different schools of thought here. All the sludge in this is insane. Some people say, hey, don't take these loose. You'll strip the... You need to make sure it's off the cam lobe. Guys, I've never had an issue with that. Of course, it could always happen to me right now. But these are also 8mm. And so I like to get them loose. My ratchet's not tough enough to get them loose. Just hitting the button. So we'll go through and loosen them by hand. That one feels weird. There's so much sludge in here though. Just can't imagine what the inside of the engine's gonna look like. We'll clean it up though. I mean, the parts we can get to. Look at all that sludge. Now there should be a rocker stand underneath this guy. I like to take it out with the stand. Because believe it or not, these have a wear pattern. And while I am going to clean these, I want to keep them in the same spot. So we'll clean them individually when we're going back together, or maybe when I get some dead time. And there's a couple that are still threaded in there, it looks like. Look at the buildup. I'm not even sure, guys. I'm not even sure I want to be able to see the head bolts. It is so bad. Look, I've been running some seafoam in it, so I'm sure that I've not helped matters as far as like getting this stuff loose. But the good thing is we're going to be taking these heads out to the machine shop. Another reason why I want to, let's just get them all cleaned up, make sure everything's good. Oh boy. Look at the top of that push rod. Oh boy. Yeah. We're gonna have to get some push rods too. I know that side's gross. Let's move on to the other side, but before I take it off, same 8mm on the rockers. I'm gonna take, this is broken. Somebody zip tied it together. I have ordered a new oil dipstick, so I'm gonna take our 15mm out, holds it to the head. We'll set it over here to the side, but once we get that 15 out, this thing should just pull straight out. I don't know, guys. It's kind of a toss-up. This one looks a little better. Still has a bunch of junk in it, but the valve cover looks way worse. Look at that. Woo! Probably should be putting the motor in this thing. We're gonna keep trucking. I'm gonna take the 8s out, like I said, to hold that in, get the push rods out of place, and then I think, honestly, we'll probably jack this thing up. I've got some mess to clean up from obviously the coolant spill, but I want to get the exhaust loose down below before we start breaking these all off, which will probably happen. Good thing we're going to a head shop or to a machine shop. They get all those out for me, or at least all the ones I break. Anyway, let's knock that out. I think the next thing you'll see will be under the car. Yeah, they're pretty gross. One more thing I'm actually going to take off while I'm up here, and that's this coolant crossover. Should be 2 10mm. We'll set it over to the side. You don't have to take it off right now, but I figured it's here. There goes that. I've got some new seals for that, I believe, too. Now that we got it off the ground a little ways, I'm gonna see if we can get lucky. Spray a little WD-40 on these, and then course, they're not going to come out. I'm not that lucky, guys. You know that. Let's also put some, where else? Right here. I'd like to disconnect it here. Should be 15 millimeters. And we'll let it set for a minute. See if we can hit it with the impact. Get those suckers loose. Should be 15s. No idea how much you lose using an extension and a swivel as far as power, but I was able to get the back two off. They came off relatively easy because I could get a straight shot on them. The two that I could get a straight shot on here came off. However, over here, I can get a straight shot on 1, 2, maybe I can get a third one. Okay, I may get lucky here, guys. We need to unplug the O2s. So I believe, okay, that's just up there on the side of the transmission. I can get to that. And this one, I believe, is on the outer side of the frame, like right there. Okay, let's get those unplugged, and I'll just pull those down with the exhaust here, assuming I can get these three out. Well, believe it or not, as you can see, it is loose. So what I'm going to do is just leave it where it's at. I'm going to set this thing back down, and we're going to continue the process, hopefully getting the manifolds off without breaking all the bolts. Now, these things are 15 millimeter, but, oh, I take that back, they're 13 millimeter, but they're normally busted. I don't think, I actually have one of those models that does not have a busted one. Now, how many are we gonna bust? What's your guess taking them out? Because I think it's gonna be at least 3, possibly more. They're pretty rusty. Very common issue on these for those to break, and I have all of mine. That is so wild. It's crazy how some vehicles get, you know, have issues with some things and some of the other. This was just poor maintenance. I mean, look at the inside of that head. It's absolutely disgusting. Unbelievable. All 6 came out without breaking. Hard to believe. Okay, I'm gonna see if we can, I think I can route that manifold out this way. This other one, however, I don't think we can get it out that way. I think it's gonna have to go through the bottom, but I don't have it loose. I'm using my impact, but I'm on the tighter ones, like the one up against the firewall there, I used a ratcheting 13, but they all threaded out easy. It makes me think they've been replaced before, or maybe this thing just wasn't in a, you know, a real rusty environment. Everything on this thing looks pretty solid, so I don't think it was. I think it was in a warmer environment. So just got lucky. I'm gonna rip that out of there, get the other one knocked out, and then we were gonna work on hopefully getting the heads unbolted. That's gonna make a big mess underneath. It's just why I haven't really cleaned much of this area yet. Now there's still some stuff that we gotta pull off. Like there's generally a couple grounds on the back of the heads, but for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and crack loose all the 15 millimeters. Now the 15s are the bigger ones, like you're gonna see. I think you have what, 6, you know, 5 on the outside, 5 on the inside, which we may have to dig around to get to. But I'm gonna crack them loose with a breaker bar, like a breakover bar, and I'm gonna do that on both sides. The 10 millimeters should run out with my small impact. They're gonna be easy, but I like to leave those last because if you take those out first, once you take maybe the last one of the bigger ones out, the head wants to like fall off. So let's get all those done, and then we'll see if there's any grounds. I know there's a ground there because I can see it, but I'm pretty sure this ground goes to the block. I don't think that's on the head back there. We still may have to remove it in order to get the clearance we need, but I'm gonna feel around on the back of that head. I'll let you know kind of what's on both sides. The sludge is so deep here in this corner. Look at that. That I couldn't get my socket on it, but I've got them all loose. I've actually got the outers out on that side. So what I did was I felt behind the head. There is not a ground on that back head, but I'm gonna take that 10 millimeter out for that little ground that you see that's coming up into this harness. I am gonna take that out just so it doesn't impede with us taking that head off. And then on this side, to make my life easier, I'm gonna take the 10 millimeter off that goes to this strap. That is the only ground on that side. And it's easier to take it off here than try to monkey with taking it off back behind. It's a 15 millimeter. You could take it off back there, but the post right there is in the way. Honestly, I probably won't put that post back on. We'll take that off once we get the head out. But let's get these 15s out. Yeah, and then the 10s, the 10 for the ground, the 10 for the ground up there. Now, just a heads up, got all of them out over there, but if you're having trouble getting them out, just use a magnet. That's what I use on the inside. So see if we can get one of these nasty ones out. See what I'm talking about? Yeah, use a magnet to rip them all out. And then we're ready to see if we can get this thing off of here. So I've got this head stood up. There's no wonder why these things were noisy. Look at that passage. Look how nasty that is. Unbelievable. Guys, unbelievable. So, yeah. Look at the spot where the lifters go. Now, luckily, this is a multi-layer steel gasket. I'm going to go ahead, pull that gasket off, put it in my scrap pile. Don't forget your dowels. If you got those, see if you can get those out. Sometimes you got to use a pair of pliers to get those out. I think one's stuck in the head. Yeah, there's one in the head back there. That's fine. But anyway, I want to get that out of there because I really want to see what these lifters look like. I think they're going to be absolutely disgusting. But let's keep digging. Got the heads ready. So absolutely disgusting. Look how deep, look how crazy that is. No wonder, like the lifters, I would have never got that cleared out, guys. Maybe 10 years worth of oil changes could have cleared some of that out. I don't know, maybe not even that much.